Going live. You're live. Okay. You might be live. Well, I had to crop somebody else's thumbnail there to make an impact. I keep moving these every time the video starts because I forget that they're there. This is the video where I'm supposed to be wearing the appropriate hat with the ear flaps and the almost matching tie, right? But I don't have the hunting cloak in the appropriate tweed either. So there you go. So you're getting the it's warmish in January, so I'm not dressed up for the occasion video costume and stuff. I looked for a couple of books and I couldn't find them, and I forgot the name of who was the other author, but of course the hard-boiled detective stuff excuse me, more familiar with film noir, Mickey Spillane, and I don't, like I said, I don't have them on hand, but I have at least one Spillane book here somewhere that I could show as a prop, but don't know where it is. And which one was Sam Spade and one was Marlowe, and I can't remember which was which. But there was also James Cain, who some of his movies got made into books got made into movies. Sorry, adaptations, film. This being, of course, more of a book review or recommendee than a film anything, but I still put it in the film playlist. He also did Mildred Pierce, and I think another one that I read. Typically not very long pulp books, I guess, pulp fiction being the thing, right? Mickey and him and the mysterious other novelist that I couldn't bother to look up the name because, again, none of these are dark academia. They're mystery, so they're academic darkness adjacent again. But similar to some of the previous episodes, not quite action adventure, but again, kind of in between that genre and that genre, because there's going to be typically more violence associated with the drama, hence the need for detectives. Whereas in more modern times, I think the detective hard-boiled stuff has been supplanted by the courtroom drama lawyer stuff instead, and TV programs especially. Oh, and I did find my other ornament. I know it's a little late, and this one that was completely forgotten, so these didn't get in the holiday videos, but I did not lose this one on the trail as I had thought, but rather in the front yard or something. So when I was young, and I had one of them here, and I don't know where it went, I was really big into Encyclopedia Brown, and there was a similar knockoff one called Tack that ended up being only a one-off as far as I know, that had, instead of one boy genius solving all the mysteries, had 4 kids with their own kind of, not special powers because they weren't superheroes, but, skill set, okay? Excuse me. And so the K in Tack was to stand for Will, and Will was kind of the brains of the operation. So basically Encyclopedia Brown with 3 friends. Of course, Encyclopedia Brown, same as, I read a lot of those when I was young, and I could never pick up on enough to figure out the stuff. And then later, even as an adult, kind of rereading some of it, I still didn't pick up on half the clues. Some of them I remembered vaguely. Oh, yeah. Other ones I didn't remember at all. None of the stuff he knows is stuff that a 10-year-old would know, and it's almost nothing that would be in an actual encyclopedia. So kind of a misnomer there, like what side a guy shaves on. I don't know how you come by that information apart from reading an Encyclopedia Brown mystery story. Spoiler alert, sorry if anybody has read the case of the mystery. That didn't even really give away the much beyond the clue, but there it is, Sumi. The Encyclopedia Brown, of course, being young, so young people fiction, but not necessarily academic It's kinda, but it mostly takes place during the summer, if memory serves, and outside of school. And mostly he's kind of defending oddballs from bullies. Most of the oddballs are intelligent, but they're not smart enough to not get in a jam with con artists and bullies and things. So I don't know how many young bullies and con artists there are running around in the average beach town or whatever, Idaville. But certainly not anything quite equivalent to my own youth. So they were interesting stories, but not exactly. If you had asked me to solve these crimes, I would have been bewildered that these crimes even happened. Crimes. So, but then in the other part of the story, his father is the detective with the police force, and often brings home the cases for the son to solve at the dinner table. And the son is just much better at fighting and solving crime than the Detective Brown, who I guess should just quit his job or something and start his own agency with his son. I don't know. But fortunately, most of the crime in Idaville is very small time petty theft and nothing too extreme. You're definitely going to have worse time in Gotham City and you need the bat signal than, the kid and the Keds or whatever. So anyway, this is going to be a shorter video, I hope, than the rest. The man of the hour, of course, kind of funny. Well, this is just the one. I don't have the whole set. I always wanted the leather-bound set just to look impressive. I had not actually read any of the Sherlock Holmes books growing up. I have seen several or most of the films, either in youth, and then a couple years ago there was some channel showing them all at like 3 a.m. or whatever. And I could watch 2 or 3 of them back to back that one summer when everybody was sitting around watching TV. That was one of the things I was doing. And I don't know how faithful those were to the books, but they did have the arch criminal Moriarty instead of the Joker or whoever, or Lex Luthor, right? If you're going to Metropolis instead, even though Metropolis and Gotham are the same town, I guess. Yada yada yada. Yes, I know I'm talking about superheroes instead of detectives, but they're kind of the same thing in a way. Well, Superman's less of a detective than Batman, maybe. I don't know, but Sherlock Holmes, though, instead of having gadgets and gear, he has, scientific inquiry and a partner, who's not a boy ward, but a grown actual scientist. And but he gets in costume all the time, which in the Victorian or Edwardian era, kind of on the cusp, I guess, I would assume. Well, the film's made as period pieces in the 30s or 40s, memory serves, so they take place 50 years earlier or whatever. So I imagine getting in real costumes and stuff would have been a trick with the kind of technology that they would have had, and I'm sure those costumes would have in real life fooled no one. So another, devastating plot hole maybe in the saga, but what are you going to do? But apparently in real life, Holmes only wears this outfit in this particular book, which takes place in Scotland or whatever, and is not actually his regular costume, but of course iconic with the pipe and the hat and the overcoat, which is not a simple overcoat, but a double layered heavy duty tweed hunting on the moors outfit, which I don't have one. I almost had one made, using an old raincoat. Well, not a traditional raincoat, but a bagpiper's raincoat. And I was going to overlay some tweed fabric on it, and it was going to cost a few $100s and match this other sport jacket that I already have, and a hat that mostly matches, but is not a Sherlock Holmes hat. And then I realized that I live in California and would never, ever wear it, even with a kilt. But I might change my mind someday, since I still have fabric and that rain gear lying around, which of course has little to do with the book, except that, you know, it inspired a look, I guess, even though that look already existed before the, again, famous images. And so, yeah, there's a whole bunch of those books that I, like I said, haven't read, even though I've seen, I don't know, 6 or 7 of the movies or something. How many movies? Again, I'm lazy tonight. This is not necessarily the last installment in this series, but definitely one where, like I said, I haven't read anything that I would consider overtly academia, because again, Sherlock Holmes is not in college. He's not young. He's already an adult, and his collaborator is even older than he is, in at least the films. So definitely adjacent to the realm, but not specifically in the realm of dark academia. But that's kind of what I, you know, don't mind pointing out, because like I said, you can get a whole set of leather-bound, impressive-looking books and read them or not read them, or get the paperbacks and read those instead, and don't mess up your $30 copies or whatever. Actually, it'd be like way more now, right? The paperbacks are probably $30, or the trade paperbacks would be $20 maybe. I don't know. Yeah, because like I said, I didn't really, you know, I was never really into horror per se. But I'm using the word thriller here. I know some people use the word thriller in like the Michael Jackson sense of the word thriller, to mean like zombies and horror and slasher fiction and films and that kind of thing, which is not traditionally my correct definition of the word. So thriller to me is, you know, suspense, not terror. Okay. How much terror and, again, crime and things is in some of the Sherlock Holmes? Well, yeah, there are things, you know, burglaries and violent crimes and things that he's trying to solve. So thriller in almost both senses of the word, but not really quite. And of course, the henchman from Rocketeer, lifted from the films. I don't know how much he resembles the character, if such character appears in the Holmes books. Again, I don't know how faithful those films are to the Holmes books, but I'm pretty sure they're pretty faithful, because I'm just willing to, you know, go out on that limb until somebody corrects me. But obviously, I could be wrong. Hollywood has been known to be hit or miss in that department. So I would, yeah, be able to give a better film review if I had seen a couple of them more recently and in a more awake frame of mind than usually, like, okay, I'll watch one more, and kind of nodding off during the commercials. But being able to, you know, with the TiVo, be able to back it up and catch the bits that I might have snoozed through, as opposed to, you know, when you're young and you're at the theater or whatever, and they're showing these reels. We used to see what the man with the iron claw, and you'd miss one week and you wouldn't know where you were, and you'd never see the finale or find out how it ends after you'd watched 36 episodes of this stuff. You know, it was so frustrating, and you wanted to run to the snack bar before the next thing started and get some more, you know, Junior Mints or Milk Duds or whatever. And what happened? Oh, don't worry about it. You know, that kind of thing. I had to go to the bathroom. Well, that's tough. So, okay, I'm babbling. You know, like I said, It's just recommendations, and everybody already knows who Sherlock Holmes is, so I don't have to, like, hold up 6 different books. You'll figure it out. And some of you may have read them already and know more about the stories than I can recall. But yeah, like I said, I'm not sure if Sherlock Holmes is as much of the kind of thing where you're trying to solve it yourself. I think a lot of people read even those kind of lawyer books trying to kind of do that, and I'm the opposite. When I'm watching those films, I'm not trying to solve the thing. If either it's super obvious to me, like right off the get-go, it's not that guy, it's that guy. Otherwise, I'm just happy to be, as surprised as everybody else. I just zone out and like, oh, that guy's the guy. Okay, fine. Yeah, it usually doesn't, it's usually not that big of a twist. Like I said, I'd be talking about films more than literature if I go off on this tangent. But yeah, so I don't know if Sherlock Holmes is the same as Encyclopedia Brown, where they're kind of expecting you to guess the clues, but that wouldn't be me probably most of the time. Like I said, with film, it's a little bit easier, especially with some of those films that aren't quite horror films. They're kind of scary, but they're not. They're mostly ghost stories, I guess, would be the better way to put it. The ones like that, I'm kind of like, okay, you're just watching it for the special effects and the visuals more than the actual plot anyway, so it doesn't really matter. It's not like it's a mystery, but it's not a mystery that you're like dying to solve. It's kind of like you're going through the paces more than an actual like active like investigation kind of thing. Whereas with these kind of things, it's almost always like how they're planning the crime, how they're planning to commit the insurance scam or whatever. So it's a little bit different. It's usually focused more on the perpetrators than the sleuth, I guess, if memory serves. I haven't read these in a long time, but something along those lines. And they're not always even, double indemnity, like the title kind of gives it away. What the premise might be. But yeah, a little bit. Whereas some of the other ones, I think it's a little more like gangster film kind of stuff. There's that kind of overlap. Bogey's going to be in it, and there's going to be gunplay eventually, but it's going to take forever for him to figure it all out and get to the point where he, finally has the showdown with the whoever, E.G. Robinson or whoever. Yeah, oh well, okay then. I did a very terrible bogey right there. Sorry, but. Again, wasn't planning on talking about film for 5 minutes either. So. Okay, I'll shut up now. So as always, I know this was kind of a whatever throwaway episode, but if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I do this once in a while, and when I get sick of talking about boots, so it's nice to just, talk about things that I haven't really read or haven't read in a long time, just to jog my own memory. Even though, like I said, I can't really delve into the stories too much, as more as a recommendation thing. Because again, I don't know what YouTube allows for me to like actually read or whatever, and so I don't even want to get into that, unfortunately, too much. Yada yada yada. So yes, you can check out the previous installments and all that kind of thing at your own leisure.